In this guide, we'll be going over dismantling the HRE in the first few years of the game, how to get the Russian Tsardom government reform enacted whilst keeping your Polish ideas, as well as how to play tall as Poland. Poland in 1444 starts out as one of the strongest nations in EU4. We have a strong army, a great economy, and a lot of expansion opportunities from the very first day. That being said, we have a few issues such as the Holy Roman Empire at our doorsteps, and we will show how to dismantle the Holy Roman Empire within the first few years of the game. So to start it off, what we're going to do first off is we're going to give out the +1 admin, mana, and diplo points to the estates, the oversight by the clergy, the supremacy over the crown, free enterprises, and exclusive trade rights that offer us 3 mercantilism and give a 15% dev cost reduction in provinces that have a center of trade within the Krakow trade node. So that means with encouraging development, we can develop this for 33 points. We've devved it up once, and now we're gonna go ahead and sell titles for 500 ducats. Afterwards, we can seize land so we get a little bit of extra crownlands. Basically, we started the game with 500 ducats from day one without losing anything. Now, next up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start allying nations, and we're gonna go for the important alliances such as the one with the Bohemians and Brandenburg, and guess what, even Saxony. And we want to get these alliances very early on before the first month even passes. In case you didn't realize what I'm doing here, I'm allying all of the electors. So there are going to be some electors which I will not be able to ally, namely Trier here doesn't want to ally me. We're going to wait until they get some alliances, and hopefully they get an ally close to us, because in order to dismantle the HRE, what we need to have is either an alliance with all of the electors, or if we don't ally them, we need to occupy their capital, whilst at the same time we occupy the Emperor's capital. So what we'll be doing is we're going to be attacking the Austrians. Likely they will join in the war that we will have with the Hungarians in the early game, and if that happens, we can easily crush them and dismantle the HRE in that war. Otherwise, we're going to have to take land from the Hungarians, border the Austrians, and attack them right after we've taken the Hungarian lands. And we're going to get a claim quickly on the province of Trenčín so that we can take over eventually all of the Slovakian lands. Don't worry about being over diplomatic relations for a little while. It's not a massive deal. It is temporary. You only keep these alliances until you've dismantled the HRE, and then after we're going to get rid of them. Within the first few months of the game, you're going to get an event, the Succession of Vladislav III, where you can either make Lithuania a junior partner and you get the elective monarchy government reform, or you go for a random leader that is decent but you don't get the union. Obviously, go for the union. It is going to give you a union over Lithuania, and with Lithuania and a union under you, you have literally doubled in size and strength, meaning the war against Hungary is going to be a piece of cake. And as expected, they have allied Austria, as they normally do ally Austria, which in turn actually allied Trier. Most of the times the Austrians ally the electors, so keep an eye out for whichever elector they ally, as you don't need to ally those electors since they are going to be called into the war anyway. This is going to be a very tough war, so I also recommend that you hire the Grand Company, and eventually you might need to hire the Independent and Free Company. That being said, because of the Lithuanians, we also have an extra few thousand troops that will be of great service during the early days of the war. A few more months have passed, and we can now declare war on the Hungarians since we got a claim on Trenčín. We do have to co-belligerate the Austrians, however, because Trier would not join otherwise, and we need them to join. Sadly, our ally Brandenburg would join on the Austrian side too, so that means we're gonna have to siege down also Brandenburg's capital aside from Trier and Austria's. Also, they did not maintain the fort in Zeppelin. They did maintain the one in Trenčín, but most of the times, if you really want, you can pull your troops back, and if you don't have any troops by the border, there's a chance that they will not maintain Trenčín also. At some point, you're gonna get an event event for Roman of Moldavia. Basically, this gives you a chance of actually winning over Moldova as a free march from the event, or it can go over to Hungary. It really depends. Go ahead and fund Romans' efforts with coin so that you get your chance at winning them over. And as you can see in Hungary, because they've both Zeppelin and Kirali Ford were not maintained, we instantly took over all of the eastern side of Hungary, and we are in the process of taking over the last remaining forts they have. But that being said, we have a lot more nations to deal with here, and we are going to be going ahead and sieging all of them down before we piece them out. There you go. Excellent. Moldova is now a march, and that means we got extra boyos here in the war against Hungary and the company. Eventually, you're going to be able to call in your allies into this war, and that's going to make it a lot easier because you just need these guys to help you siege down some capitals. Hopefully, you're also luckier than I am. 600 days to siege down freaking this fort. Are you kidding me? And within just a couple of years, mostly thanks to our beloved allies here, we managed to get all three of the capitals that we were missing. That means we occupied Poland and our allies occupied Trier's capital, but it still counts, as well as we've occupied Vienna. So that means we can go to the HRE screen and click the dismantle HRE, granting us 100 prestige and getting rid of this monstrosity of aggressive expansion conglomerate. Austria, we don't even need to worry about too much. I honestly just want a white piece, but if they give me some cash, that's fine as well. They're giving me a little bit of cash. Sure, we can take this much, and that's gonna be it. I will fight them in the future in a proper war. This was mainly just a war in which I could dismantle the HRE. And of course, the main target, we're taking all of these lands. Why are we taking this? Well, there's a good reason for that. Actually, we're gonna be taking this. This is way better because we want to first off border the lands to the south in Serbia so we can snake our way to the Kosovo gold mine, and we're gonna release from the province of Bihor the nation of Transylvania. Remember, you cannot release a nation if it's not the culture of that nation. So if we took Maramuresh, for example, we would not be able to release Transylvania since this is Ruthenian, not Transylvanian. But it looks like they're driving a hard bargain, so we have to piece out a few more nations beforehand. Booyah shaka! Editing power on, and we can now actually piece these guys out. I've changed my mind. Instead of Torontal, I'm going to Fetemesh, and I'm also taking as much money as I can take from them because I can. Coalition-wise, Austria, Hungary, and Bosnia, nobody cares about these nations. And we are going to be releasing our brand new Amazeballs vassal of Transylvania. Now, they get 2 provinces from us, which is great because it means we don't need to core up to Zemplin. And they also get cores on everything else left in the eastern parts of Hungary, whilst Temesh they never had a core on, even though it was Transylvanian. Now, the reason I took Temesh is because I can attack both Wallachia and Serbia and even have a border with the Ottomans in case I get frisky. Now, we can also do this mission, Expand Poland, and it looks like we have a foreign heir on our throne. No, 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 no. Cannot do that. We're going to increase support for Stanislav because he is an absolute Chad Lord here, 562. Alright, we're also going to be concentrating development, and booyah, now we can also core all these lands up. We're not releasing Slovakia because we want to directly take ownership of this since we have the gold mine in Hon. And similarly, we're going to directly own these lands here in Alford in southern Transylvania. That means we can start canceling all of these alliances with Köln, Mainz, Palatinate, and whoever else you manage to ally. Cancel them up. You don't need these. They really are just a waste of a diplo slot, really. And especially you want to cancel the alliance with Bohemia, but not now, because Bohemia, if they're rival to Austria, will help you in a war against Austria. So what we're gonna do is a big brain move, namely use them in the next war against the Austrians and then attack them right after that. I've sent one of my missionaries to convert Przemysl, which is Orthodox, to Catholic, but I've also lowered the missionary maintenance to 0, which means this is not going to convert this province to Catholic, but it is going to trigger, because they're going to get pissed, Orthodox zealots. And those Orthodox zealots are going to start converting my own country, which is going to give me the opportunity of switching over to Orthodoxy as a religion. Keep that guy there, and also go to your diplomatic screen and assign all the provinces adjacent to your PU member as provinces of vital interest. They will eventually start getting claims, and they have already gotten a claim on Odoyev, which we're going to use right now. We're even going to co-belligerate Tver since it is an easy target, and we're gonna attack them, but this is gonna be a very special war, and you're gonna see in a few seconds why. My boys, be ready to be amazed. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be vassalizing Tver. No problem with the coalition because it's a different culture and religion. It is gonna be a little bit of an issue because we have quite a lot of vassals now, but we're gonna start integrating them soon. However, when it comes to Odoyev, we're gonna do something very different. You might have guessed it, we're gonna give them a lot of our lands. Oh no, Ludi, but why are you giving them your lands? It makes no sense. Let's analyze this for a second. At the very start of the game, we got a PU over the nation of Lithuania. We had an option of refusing that PU. Is that smart? No, it's not smart. A free PU means all of this land belongs to you for free, and you can do a lot of great things with it. Even the nation can help you out with the army, so we want to keep that PU. We also want to become a tsardom, so in order to get that, we need to have a lot of Ruthenian land, which mostly belongs to Lithuania, and we will not be able to diplomatically integrate Lithuania. So what it means is that we're going to give these lands, and remember, you need to have 100% war score on whichever nation you're using this with to enforce it. They're not going to accept this unless you have 100%. Give them all the lands and be amazed because we now have 100% revanchism. This means we got -5 national unrest plus 50% national tax modifier plus 50% manpower modifier, fort defense, army tradition, etc, etc. Look at how fast we're gaining back our troops, and look at how massive our taxation income is. So there's a few reasons we're doing this. Revanchism is one of them. Second one is that Odoyev is going to implode. They're going to absolutely just explode into small independent nations, and we're going to eat up these small independent nations directly. We're not going to give them to Lithuania, even though Lithuania has the cores on this. Next up, we're going to come back here, and we're going to have to wait for a few years until we've integrated Mazovia and recovered our economy, which should be super fast. Both economy and manpower should recover fast because of the revanchism. Alright, we waited for a good couple of months, and we're going to now attack the Serbians since we managed to get our claims on them. We're not going to colon anyone. We are, however, going to co-belligerate Bosnia and even Herzegovina since we will be taking land in that area. Go ahead and declare the war, and we're going to rush for these cities. Should be a fairly easy war. Make sure you assign the best generals in charge of your sieging armies and enjoy the smooth ride. I wanted to vassalize Bosnia, but it would be a little bit too much aggressive expansion, so I'm just going to cancel rivals and whatever, get some prestige and money out of them, and that's about it. Same for Herzegovina. Since I cannot really afford to get too much aggressive expansion, I do need to focus all of my aggressive expansion on taking Serbian lands. So as such, I'm gonna have to bite my lip here for a little while. That being said, we're taking all of these lands. Essentially, we are snaking around Serbia, making sure that nobody takes the remaining 3 provinces from the Serbs, and coalition-wise, as you can see, nobody important is joining in. This means we got a second gold mine, and we have committed the Snek, big time Snek. Also, as expected, Odoyev completely died out and got eaten out by Ryazan. We're going to be attacking Kiev first, followed by Chernigov. Take notice that you want to use the Conquest CB, not the Reconquest one, since you're not going to be giving this back to Lithuania, and you are going to be taking it for yourself in the war. Quick war is over. We're going to fully annex Kiev, and coalition-wise, not much. Obviously, we don't need to stress about them. We also can get our claim on Chernigov and attack Chernigov right after this war. Take note, they might ally Muscovy sometimes. In my case, they've allied Wallachia, which is really not much of an issue since I was going to attack them anyway. But because they are guaranteed by the Ottomans, apparently, Wallachia, I am not going to co-belligerate them. So I am going to be attacking Chernigov, Conquest, and there you go. We're also going to be using the other army that we have in the south to finish off the Wallachians. If you are a good boy, then Santa Grzegorz Brzezinski, and I know I messed that up, is going to give you the Prussian Confederation event. Go for the alliance with Danzig, which in turn is going to call you into their war against the Teutons. Be ready, as you want to join that war and crush the Teutons completely. After you've crushed the Teutons, you're going to be able to get Danzig as a vassal, which is another free vassal that we're basically getting. Also, if you dismantle the HRE, this is the kind of stuff that you should be expecting. Much bigger and blobbier nation. I mean, Berg here knows the way. They definitely know the way. As do apparently Brandenburg and even the Teutons, which basically wiped out Volgast. Lubeck actually is expanding quite a bit. In any case, this should be a fairly easy war. You probably outnumber them 4-1. And because of revanchism, by now you should have almost half or even more of your manpower back. I also recommend, after you've integrated Mazovia, not to make this a full state just yet, as we want these to be our main states for the time being. Ruthenian is gonna have to go at about 50% of our overall culture. So for that to happen, we need to either A, develop this a little bit more, or unstate some of our Polish lands and restate these later on, but that means you would be losing the prosperity. So honestly, the best option would be to actually develop these lands a little bit more and get access to the south parts. I normally would have attacked Crimea and done the same thing that I've done with Odoyev, but sadly Crimea became a vassal of the Ottomans, so it's not possible. I will try to do it with Theodoro, however, which is only allied to Trebizond and Circassia, or maybe even the Great Horde, although I have pretty much enough lands to flip on over to Ruthenian as it is. Danzig has pieced out in the war, and what do you know, they didn't give us even a single piece of land, but there is something we can do about that. We can enact the Prussian Confederation mission, which automatically makes Danzig a vassal. There you go. Despite not giving us anything and backstabbing us in the most ruthless of ways, we did eventually manage to get all of these lands for almost no hard-fought wars. With Danzig as a vassal, we have quite a lot of vassals, and we're gonna have to start integrating these. Despite integrating Mazovia, we still need to integrate a few more nations here, and Danzig would be lovely, but we have to wait for them. So we will be integrating Transylvania, but until we integrate them, we also have to declare war and get the rest of their cores back from the Hungarians first. The Second Hungarian War was an absolute piece of cake. I'm taking all of these lands for my vassal. I'm taking a few more provinces for myself, including Sopron, to prevent the Austrians ever taking anything from my beloved Hungarian friendos over here. And also Croatia became independent. I don't know how I feel about this. They took over Bosnia, so I'm not super happy about it, but it also means that I can attack them separately after I get a claim and take these lands also if I want to. That being said, we're gonna core up all of these lands here, and we're gonna start integrating both Transylvania and Tver. I do have to improve relations with them beforehand, and I just noticed actually that the Great Horde is not joined by their allies because apparently Uzbek and Ajam are occupied. That means I could do the good old trick of feeding them lands in Lithuania and getting some revanchism instead, but I don't really need to do so. I have devved up the lands a little bit, and I've unstated a couple of provinces, which means I now have 48% Ruthenian. I need above 50%, so all I need to do is just unstate one more state here. Sadly, it has to be done. I am losing a little bit of admin points by doing this, but now Ruthenian is the predominant culture. All I need to do now is wait for my Diplo points to go up before I can switch over to Ruthenia. Are you guys ready for this? Well, before we do switch over to Ruthenia, look at this. Livonian Order was shrunk to 2 provinces, and that means they are willing to become my vassal diplomatically, so why not? We got one more vassal, 7 vassals and counting within the first few years, or better yet, subjects, because Lithuania is a PU junior partner. We're also going to go back to this screen, and we're going to click on Culture Shift, 100 Diplo points, there you go, and now we just need to get Admin Tech 10 in order to form Ruthenia, as well as own certain provinces in this area, namely Zaporozhye is the last one that we need to have. So because of that, we are going to declare on the Golden Horde. This is going to be a very fast war. Fast forwarding a little bit, the Golden Horde is going to collapse again. They're at war with I don't know, Chagatai and some other nations here, and they have not 1, 3 Zaporozhian separatist armies in their country, so eventually it's going to happen the same thing that happened with Kiev and Chernigov. It is going to be a little bit border gorish having just 2 Lithuanian provinces, but it is what it is. Make sure that you also time the integration of your vassals properly. Because I've timed it right, I'm going to be integrating both Tver and Transylvania at the same time. Well, 3 months apart from each other, give or take. Skipping quite a big chunk forward, we've integrated Zaporozhnia as well as a few other of our vassals. We gave back the lands to the Livonians, and we are in the process of integrating both the Livonians and Danzig. But most importantly, we're about to go to war with the Ottomans. This is a historic moment in our nation's history. Well, that makes sense, right? Historic moment. Anyway, let's go for the Holy War, since this gives us 75% aggressive expansion for whatever we take. And boy, do we want to take a lot of things in this war. Keep your troops close to each other. The Ottoman troops are going to be considerably better than your troops in this point in the game, and they are the same tech as we are, so they really are going to be kicking our butts if we don't take care of it. Because they did not maintain their fort in Selanik, I am going to rush for that. They did maintain, weirdly enough, the one in Kruzhe, and I probably will not make it in time for the one in Gelibolu, but actually I'm just going to try. Even if it has less than full amount of garrison, it's going to help out quite a bit. In the first war against the Ottomans, what you want to take is these provinces right here, especially if it's a holy war, as well as whatever money you can take. I cannot take any more money. Well, I cannot take any money, and I'm not going to prolong the war, as I want to piece them out so I can be at war with them a second time as soon as possible. Now, why is that? Well, that is because we're going to be releasing Byzantium in the 2 provinces here, and the nation of Bulgaria and the province of Kostendil. Now, between Bulgaria, which has claims on all of North Balkans, and Byzantium on all of the Greek Balkans, in the next war against the Ottomans, we're going to take all of the Balkans from them via our 2 beloved vassals here. We're going to send all of our armies back home now. We've also integrated Danzig, and we will be integrating Livonia in a few months as well. Remember to concentrate development in the provinces of your vassals. It is going to make it a lot faster integrating said vassals if you do concentrate. One aspect of the game that I've noticed players have not fully grasped is how to use their money. I am in 1498, and I have 3 advisors, one of which is +5, another +2, and +3. This means that I've been getting 12, 11, and 13 mana points respectively, and this has been kept as such for quite a while. In fact, I've had a +5 Diplo up until a few months ago when he died, and that really managed to boost my economy massively. I've kept up with my technology, which means that I've gotten the ahead of time bonus for production and trade. Also filled up all of my ideas that I have available right now, simply because I've had insanely high amounts of admin and military points. I've pretty much dodged paying interest also by going for the burger loans, which are great since they basically give you the same loans but for 1% interest, which is basically nothing. And I've had burger loans, dodging them every few years since the start of the game. Only now it's on the plus. Up until now it was always on the minus, and I've been collecting and paying off my loans from wars. If I desperately need money, I can just sell titles for 1,600, but I don't need that right now, as I am okay economically. And by going for quantity economic and going for the policy of agricultural cultivation, there you go. I can dev up provinces for very little, 16 to dev it once, and after we put the encouraged development edict, I can develop this for 11 points in 1490. We're going to develop our diplo and military, which means that economically and militarily speaking, we're going to be an absolute powerhouse. As such, idea-wise, obviously go for quantity economic so you can play tall, but at the same time, be very wide. And as a third idea, I highly recommend you go for influence ideas, as you have to integrate what's left of Lithuania, and it is quite a big nation. You can start integrating them in 1495. In fact, I actually forgot to do so. I am going to do so now, and it is going to take me a few years. If I change this guy to a Diplo advisor, that's going to make it a lot faster actually, so I probably should do that. And by getting the +1 Diplo rep from Catholicism, going to be of help too. There there you go, 1544. It's gonna go down to like 1520 after I get rid of the -3 Diplo rep that I have from integrating my previous vassals. So after influence, you also want to go for religious ideas, quantity, trade, and diplomatic, not in any particular order, up to however your situation dictates. But these are definitely the best ideas to be going for. Also, what the hell, Berg? Honestly, this map is quite weird. France also landed in Britain, and Britain didn't even unify its homelands. Also, Milan completely owned over Savoy, which is now a OPM under control by Switzerland. So now, what are we going to do regarding this? Well, obviously, you want to switch over to Ruthenia so you get the Tsardom government type, which is the best government reform in the game, or one of the top 3 in any case. So we're not gonna go for the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, as it is an end game tag, and we can just get the Lithuanian parts integrated within a few years, and until we get them integrated, they're gonna be of even more help, since if we did integrate them or attack them directly, we would be over our governing capacity by quite a bit. So there's multiple reasons why it's actually better to just get them as a union, integrate them manually, and form Ruthenia once you get admin tech 10. Obviously, finish off the Ottomans here that are going to be a little bit of an issue. And do take note that once you form Ruthenia, you're not going to have this mission tree. So if you want to take advantage of this, I recommend that you attack the Muscovites before you form Ruthenia.